This is another episode of Dangerous Ideas. My name is Shawn Kanungo. I'm an innovation strategist. What we do is we break down concepts and frameworks that will change your life. Oh, wow. Hey guys, this is another episode of Dangerous Ideas. Actually, a very special episode. One of my very good friends, somebody that I've known longer than almost anybody that I know. We actually were neighbors growing up, and he has, blossomed into an incredibly successful serial entrepreneur in the pharmacy space, Ahmad.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to Dangerous Ideas. I know you're an avid listener of
Every
Dangerous
episode.
Ideas. And I know that you were here for the Edmonton Oilers. And just take me to last night. You know, the Oilers come back 3-3, like incredible. Now they're up 4-3. There's, 30 seconds left in the game. Yeah. What was the reaction from the crowd when Florida scored?
It was a sort of heartbreak and just like, not again, like how is this happening again? Not like we just came back we were down 3-0 in the first, like all hope was lost.
Yeah.
And these guys fought back and they've been playing so hard, and then, But then I just started thinking, because I think about like history of sports and the parallels, and people say history rhymes, right?
Yeah.
And so when you see game 2, we scored with like 18 seconds left, and that was the latest game-tying goal in like NHL Finals history. And then they won in overtime. So this time they scored. It was the second shortest to the end of the game in NHL history. They tied it up, so I'm like, okay, hockey gods, like give us the overtime winner, and then this, it'll match, it'll make sense, right? So, and sure enough, handsome Leon Draisaitl just came through with it, and it was 5-hole as well. Marchand's was 5-hole.
Yeah.
This was 5-hole. Like it was kind of
And the arena went nuts.
The arena went nuts, and like there's times where I was like screaming too much, and I'm like, I'm getting dizzy here. Like we need to calm down. But
that's amazing.
But yeah, just like it was unbelievable.
Last night I think the main story for the U.S. public was the fact that Taylor Swift was at the game with Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
There are debates all around the world now. Was Tay-Tay cheering for the Panthers or the Oilers? And you came in with an incredibly hot take that I did not hear, that actually she may have been cheering for the Oilers.
I think that she was, because Jeff Skinner is one of our forwards. He doesn't play every game, but he got in that game. And he's a known Tay-Tay, fan.
Yeah.
And when he was in Carolina, there's a picture, if you look at online, with she has his jersey, Skinner.
Wow.
And he had met her, and like she knows that he's a big fan of hers. So I think she was cheering for Jeff Skinner. And then if you look at the reaction to the goals, like Edmonton, when Florida would score and tied it up, like she's not excited, she's not happy.
How did you put this together?
Because I just knew from before that, Jeff Skinner, like as soon as I saw her, I'm like,
wow.
She's going to be cheering for Jeff Skinner. We don't know for sure, but if you look at the reaction after the Florida goals, maybe she's just, a little bit reserved, but when she was at the NFL games and, Kelce would get a touchdown, she'd go nuts, right? So
Taylor Swift was cheering for the Edmonton Oilers. You're putting it on record.
I think so. Kelce's cheering for
Hottest
Florida.
take.
Because
Stephen,
Kelce's
right
cheering
here,
for Florida.
baby.
But that's the thing. But I guess... not to get too controversial, but who is Gretzky cheering for? That's what we need to find out.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Why would you say that?
He's like boys with the owner of the Panthers.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and some of his kids have been.
Don't talk about Gretzky in vain, bro. Okay. Listen, so this brings up a really interesting question, because this idea of celebrity and sports has always like really, really intrigued me. Partially because we watch celebrities for entertainment. Actually, we watch sports for entertainment too. It's actually the same thing. And now we're moving into a world where athletes are more and more like celebrities. And I think that's incredibly important for a game. The problem that I've always had with hockey, and I think we've had this debate, is that the NHL has no stars. Mm-hmm. In fact, I would say, let's say Connor McDavid is the greatest hockey player of this generation, and the vast majority of the world has never even heard of him. I don't want to. I want to check to see how many like Instagram followers Connor McDavid has. Can someone do a check to see? Hey, Madison, do a check. How many followers does Connor McDavid have? While he checks, like that's the sport is becoming increasingly more irrelevant because it doesn't have a star. But debate me on it. How many?
Well,
1.3 million.
1.3 million. Okay,
Well,
you know,
I
a girl
think-
with a nice butt has 1.3 followers on IG.
Well, I think the NHL does need to do a better job of promoting its stars. Like it needs to put them out there, but also is it kind of hockey culture has always been about team. It's not about individual. So players are kind of encouraged to kind of talk themselves down and talk the team up, and so maybe that's like part of it, but.
But you could
at
say the same
time,
thing.
I think a series like this is capturing the imagination of the mainstream. So Tay was there and Kelsey, and then Bill Simmons and Russillo on their pod. They're a basketball podcast.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be talking about the NBA Finals, but they just saw themselves getting carried away talking about McDavid and the Oilers. And I think it's moments like these where if McDavid needs to win the cup, and needs to go on the talk shows and whatnot, and that's what's going to potentially take him to another level. So I think you need to have those storylines written. I think they're trying to do a better job with the Panthers, Matthew Tkachuk has kind of been out there.
Yeah.
And historically what I've always said is that the best on best tournaments is what gets the hockey imagination the most. And the Four Nations with USA, Canada this year, that's got Bill Simmons' attention, and the people that that aren't typically hardcore about hockey. That captures the imagination of the mainstream audience, and then that helps grow the game because I don't know, it has a certain feeling. Look at the Vancouver Olympics.
Yeah, but I just feel because they don't have a star, it's becoming
McDavid is
increasing.
that star.
I mean, it's relevant. We're here in Edmonton.
Yeah.
There's literally an Edmonton Oilers it's relevant here. It feels relevant when we're watching it.
Yeah.
But if you take a step back, and just look at the global impact of this game, it's actually shrinking.
Yeah. Is it shrinking?
It's shrinking. The relevance of the game is shrinking.
I think we are hit a turning point. The Four Nations, I'm calling bottom on hockey.
Okay.
Four Nations was big. Olympics, NHL players are returning to the Olympics. Like you said, though, you need that for the world stage. How does NBA have people in countries all around the world becoming basketball players? It's because they saw it on the world stage, right? And so I think McDavid needs to do it. He needs to win the cup, and then maybe his star can rise to the next level. Just as a hockey fan, people who are casual hockey fans, there is no better sports star in the world today than McDavid.
100%.
When you're watching hockey and you see him wind up, you're like, okay, something's different about this guy.
Dude.
Whether you know anything about hockey or not. Have you seen those?
I had an orgasm yesterday. You know, I love seeing moves, right?
Yeah.
When he
danced Ekblad.
Yeah. Oh my God.
He had a couple where he could have buried it, man.
No, he's incredible. He's incredible on the ice. He's incredible to watch, but he's not a star. And I'm going to say this on record: Connor McDavid is not a star.
No, he's a superstar. You got it wrong.
Dude,
Have you watched sometimes NFL players will go to games and they'll show it on IG, their reactions. They're like, whoa, how fast is this? Those guys, when they see McDavid, it makes them pop. I think, he maybe hasn't achieved his full potential in terms of stardom, but I really think, winning matters. If you want to get that profile,
I agree.
You need to win. Even in the NBA, it's what are they going to do after LeBron and Steph are gone? But they need a guy like Anthony Edwards or Shai Gilgeous to win to then for their star to grow.
Okay, so let's talk about Shai because the NBA finals are on right now. Obviously, the Pacers are up 2-1. Shai is a star. I would say he's not a superstar because most people have no idea who he is.
Yeah.
You actually had an encounter with SGA at Summer League, right?
Yeah, so my wife, Frances, and I, we love going to Summer League. So, every year we've been together, we've been together 10 years. And, outside of COVID, there's been 9 Summer Leagues, or this year will be our 9th. And so we go every year, and it's a great time. This is a pitch for Summer League. But, because you can see tons of basketball. We saw Jason Tatum with your brother came the one year.
Yeah.
You saw Jason Tatum.
Just randomly.
Just for $20, going and you can go see all these different guys. I saw Zion, Wemby, showed out for Summer League. And so, so Shai Gilgeous, when he was a rookie, he didn't even start. He was still on the Clippers. Nobody knew anything about him. Francis and I are leaving Summer League at the end of the night, walking, and I'm like, oh, there's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the taxi line. So I'm got my phone cocked and ready for the photo, and Francis goes up and be like, oh, excuse me, could I get a photo? And he's like, no, I have to wait for my cab. And we're like, oh, okay. And then we walked away and proceeded to watch him wait for his taxi for another 5 minutes. It's like, you could have taken a photo, bro. And then, so Frances was choked, and,
Yeah.
you know, she wanted to love the guy because her sister, you know, got a track scholarship, ran track at
Yeah.
Kentucky. He went to Kentucky. He's Canadian. You
She
know,
didn't
all
mention
the
that in that-
connections.
she didn't mention
She
that.
didn't have a chance to.
Yeah, yeah.
But then, like a few years later, you know, still not a huge star, like, you know,
Yeah.
MVP like he is now. And we were in like the Cox Arena. There's 2 arenas at Summer League, and we see him, and he's got these crazy jeans on. I'm like, oh, look at those jeans. Oh, that's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, I do my little Instagram stories at Summer League, my commentary, and I'm like, will he snub Frances once again outside? And then when we're leaving, I'm like, watch, Shai's gonna be out here. We left, and then I'm like, there he is right there. And we went down, and she just like beelined it for him. And then again, he's like, oh, I gotta catch my car. And she's like, no, you got time. And then like forced him to basically get the photo. And like the sun was setting, like the lighting was
Nice.
perfect.
Yeah.
Like it was meant to be. So we got the photo, and then so that was pretty cool. And then now to see him, like it's the greatest season by a Canadian ever.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
you know, because obviously Steve Nash won MVP, but he didn't put it together with winning, going to the distance to the finals. And so that's why I think cheering for OKC, because if he wins the finals MVP, wins the title.
Listen, if the
that's
if the Halaban, you know, takes over, I don't think he's going to be able to win. But I was going to ask you about this question about approaching stars.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think it's a good idea to approach stars and trying to get a selfie.
So, like, if you see Quinn post at Cheesecake Factory in San Francisco, you shouldn't approach him for a photo.
Yeah, I remember he did. So, like, my thing is that I do run into some people here and there, but I don't take a selfie and I don't try to force the picture.
Yeah.
I'm saying for the big celebrities. I think it's okay for someone that's like, that never happens.
Yeah.
But I just think, like, play it cool and maybe eventually it'll happen. Like, what are you going to do with that picture? I just feel like it's a disingenuous interaction with somebody because they're thinking, oh, this person wants to take a picture. I'm okay with it because I'm not a celebrity. When somebody wants to take a picture with me, I'm more than happy to take a picture because I actually enjoy it. I just think that I don't know, maybe they're at a level where they're like, these people, I just got to get throughout my day.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do with this picture? You're going to get some social media likes and followers and comments on this?
I mean, you could say that about like any picture. What are you going to do with this picture? I don't know. You're going to look at it. You're going to remember.
Okay.
You're going to think back. Like, why did it? What were you doing? And when you tell stories with friends, if you have a picture, like, I don't have it on easy to access right now. I got to look it up. But like the Shai story, I could show you the picture, right?
Yeah.
So we have a fun connection to the guy, And I think if you're meeting people in a professional capacity, like I understand why you wouldn't go and like ask for a picture. But if we see people like in and around like an NBA event, or I guess like there is different lines, like if people are eating and whatnot, we want to respect their space. But I guess I kind of flipped the script a little bit, like from the celebs perspective. I think if they're nice and they're kind, like a few years ago, I came for the conference finals, and Paul Bissonnette was outside JW, and we went in. He's the nicest guy, man. He was like genuinely wanted to talk to us.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the night, the same, like we saw him again in JW, and then again, just wanted to talk to us, and he remembered us. And it's like, I love him forever now. I actually have a Biz Nasty t-shirt on right now. So it's like, I feel like the celeb should look at it as an opportunity to like make a fan for life, that like, if you're nice to them and you even are like genuine and like want to talk to them and get to know them, I think it makes a big difference. And actually, that was one of the things that kind of upset me about Bill Simmons at one point. I have a story about that at Summer League.
Yeah, so put it on record.
So so basically, they do the Bill Simmons podcast at the MGM back in the day in Summer League. They did it a couple years, and like they had the whole Ringer crew there. This is like in the early days of the Ringer when it had like its innocence there and it didn't go so corporate. And and then so we did the pod, like he did the pod. It was like a group of like 50 people, 100 people, super intimate. Like it was awesome. But then after, it's like we wanted to go chat with the guy and like talk sports or whatever. But then he dipped out, which is fine. But then on like another podcast, he was talking about, he's like, oh, I missed my book tour because I was able to connect with people and talk to them. But I'm like, you had an opportunity to do this with your podcast. You didn't do it.
Right.
So it's like, don't be fake. Like if you don't want to talk to the fans, don't talk to them. But like we spent how much time listening to his takes and whatnot. It'd be cool to have that chat, you know, with him too.
I gotta say, like,
so
like
that kind of soured me a bit on him, and he had an opportunity to be, that, you know, we'd be fans for life, kind of a thing.
Honestly, one of the funniest stories of you taking a picture with a celebrity is you were taking a picture with Taylor Rooks.
Yes.
Taylor Rooks is a very attractive, talented,
smart
she
knows
reporter.
her sports, man.
Yeah, she does. But I love that you told, she was with Omar Raja, who's literally the founder of House of Highlights. You know, now he's at ESPN, like one of the most, you know, in the Instagram, social media world in sports, like probably one of the most relevant guys. And you didn't know who he was, so you literally gave him the camera and it's like, hey, buddy, can you take a picture with me and Taylor Rooks?
Yes.
Which is amazing.
This is 2019 Raptors, you know, final run when they won. So I went to the city, similar to the reason I'm here in Edmonton. I want to be part of the, you know, finals energy.
That's hilarious, dude.
So, and then we were in our chat group, and then we were literally talking about Taylor Rooks literally seconds later. And it was like a podcast thing, a live podcast thing again, that she was participating in. And then next thing you know, she walks right by me, like literally you in message. And it was like meant to be, you know? And so, yeah, I asked for the photo, and yeah. No, she's a wonderful reporter. And no, honestly, she's very smart and great takes.
I agree.
And just class personified, you know?
Yeah.
So, and yeah, actually we saw her at Summer League because she worked Summer League too. So I got a photo with her at Summer League too.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember.
And I'll just say that she was, you know, showed some love and was very comfortable, you know? Like put her arm on my shoulder for the photo. Other people, it's more distant. So anyways.
I like it, man. So listen, I know, it's interesting because one of the first people that really put me onto Elon Musk was actually you. You were one of the original, I would say, evangelists of Elon. This is like pre-SpaceX. Like it was really at the origin of like Tesla, where
it was like 2012 or so.
Yeah, like really sort of you were early on Elon. You know, you are a proud Tesla owner. But I feel like the narrative.
I don't know. I'd like to explain that.
Well, I feel like the narrative around of Elon has completely shifted since he's obviously been more attached to X, and then of course with the Trump administration, and now he's gone. But how has your relationship with Elon really changed over time? And where do you see him now?
Well, like, yeah, so the first time I was visiting cousins in San Francisco, and then with my family, my parents, and then we saw a Tesla, it was actually in San Jose. We're like, what is that car? Like, that looks different. Like, it's different than other cars that you see. And so from there, I kind of got into it, and I was watching, like, his interviews and stuff. And, you know, at that time, like, what he was talking about of, like, how can I, like, you know, help humanity? How can I help better humanity? That's his goal, and that's what his whole thought pattern is about. And that really connected to me. That really resonated with me. And then, yeah, like the cars were super interesting with the EV and like, you know, trying to reduce pollution and whatnot. So yeah, and then as an entrepreneur, as a business person, it's an inspiration of like what he's been able to accomplish in the business world, to be running all these different businesses and, you know, create a American car manufacturer, like first since like, or, you know, how long, Ford and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So I was always impressed with like his ability in business, and then the stated desire to, you know, help humanity, whether it be with SpaceX or whatnot. But yeah, like I think at the end of the day, like, you know, you're not going to agree with everything about somebody. And yeah, like a lot of the things that he's been doing, and like with buying Twitter. I mean, let's just start with changing the name to X. Like, I think that's super stupid.
It was dumb.
It annoys me.
It
calls me. It's Twitter to me. It always will be. But I like the little bird. You know what I mean? Like, so, and then just like how things became slanted and the hypocrisy that like, oh, I'm buying it because there's so much bias, which might be true, but then like he's applying his bias and banning people and whatnot, just the same.
I agree.
So it's like, I can't stand hypocrisy. Like if you're gonna have values, I might disagree with them, but maybe I'll respect that you're actually staying true to them. But if you're just wishy-washy and you're trying to put on like a, persona so that, you can gain an advantage in the public and whatnot. So yeah, like to be honest, right now I don't like love the guy. Like, I'm not like admiring him as much as I did before.
Yeah.
But that said, like I still do have a Tesla, and I actually, love the product. Like the full self-driving, like in the last like 6 months,
I like
has
that.
actually gone to a
You know
new
what?
level.
I liked your nuanced response because I feel like the world is black and white. When you mentioned the word, I was literally at a keynote a couple weeks ago, and the organizer reviewed my slides, and they wanted me to take out anything. Like I just had an image of a Cybertruck beside like a horse and buggy, and because Cybertruck is it was just an interesting picture. She was like, take it out. I don't want to. We don't want any people getting offended. And I was like, And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, if we look throughout history, and if some of the greatest, if Napoleon, if Alexander the Great, if Mahatma Gandhi, if they all had Twitter, I mean, imagine the things that they would say.
Yeah.
And the reason why I like that you have a nuanced response is that I believe that the world is like it's black and white. It's like, oh my God, like I hate Elon, I hate everything that he stands for, I hate Tesla, I hate SpaceX, I hate Doge, whatever he touches, I hate. And the other side, like they love him. And I just feel like you can also enjoy the fact that he's created a fundamentally incredible product like Tesla and SpaceX and all these different incredible things, and also be like, yeah, he's probably not a good human being.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny that we can't have that discussion, and people get into this, like, I feel like there's, people talk about the Trump derangement syndrome. There's also an Elon derangement syndrome where they cannot see past anything that Elon does. And I really hate that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like there has to be that nuance there. But I also like the whole Trump derangement syndrome and the Elon derangement syndrome. I also think that that's used by them and that side as like a way to dismiss any criticism as well. And I don't think that's right either. Like let's look at each thing that's been done and judge each individually. You know what I mean? Like that's how I look at it. Like
I mean, we all have friends or family members that like we don't agree with everything that they say, or we don't agree with how they approach certain things, in their life, but we still love them and we still care for them, and we can take some of the good and we understand the bad. Like that's human beings.
Yeah.
But the world doesn't see that. We just put people in camps, and I just don't like that.
And it's a factor, like his behavior and whatnot is a factor in like, oh, my next car, do I want to have Tesla? Like to be honest, it's a factor that maybe it's less likely I'm going to have a Tesla, but it might not be the entire like decision factor, and yeah, like as you said, all these inventors of the past, even today, like CEOs of companies that were using products all around us. Do we know what the CEOs, values are and what they think? Like, do these sports teams, like, if you start to like wonder, like, oh, what are all the players' views? What are all the owners' views? Like, then you can't enjoy anything in life.
I agree.
If you're just gonna like pick the thing that's the.
If we actually uncovered what people were really like, of all the products that we love and the music that we love and the shows that we love, literally it would just be like a closet full of like just, bad stuff. And to be honest with you, we wouldn't watch anything after that.
Yeah.
So I just feel like will you?
But that said, I think it is still important to recognize, like, I disagree with what is being done or what he's saying, like. And that's against my values, and I still respect people who, express that. Like that's totally fine too. But yeah, like, oh, just because I own a Tesla that I bought, 5 years ago, you're gonna key my car? Like I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like you're engaging in crime. Like I just don't. If somebody's gonna, they say fight fire with fire. It's actually fight fire with water, right? Like in reality. So if you're gonna fight fire with fire, you're just gonna get a bigger fire. But I like calm and like let's put the fire out and then let's figure things out after that.
Listen, we're coming to the end of this pod. I want you to, because you've known me longer than most people that I know. Is there something that that you know about me that the rest of the world does not know?
Well, yeah, I've known you since you were 8 years old, and we met literally on the mean streets of South Central Edmonton, Twin Brooks, playing street hockey, right? And
Every day.
We played thousands of hours of street hockey every day in the summer, every Friday. So yeah, I saw the integrity that you had back then, and how you treat other people. And you bring people together, and you always had a fascination with people. I think people know that, but yeah, just playing street hockey, and we played in a lot of tournaments. And I've moved to Vancouver, and that weekend we played in the Play-On tournament.
Dude.
And the thing people don't know is when it comes to hockey, ball hockey, you got the dangles. He's got the stick handling abilities.
I appreciate
He's got
it.
the
Most
big
people
game.
don't know that.
He's a big game player. He scores big goals, like the tournament-winning goal. This guy, buried the biscuit in the basket, right? So.
Well, I appreciate that, and you were and still are an incredible ball hockey player too. And yeah, man, we won so many tournaments.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we only learned hockey on the streets.
Yeah.
And we would go to all these tournaments and we would run the leagues, like Play On and Smiley Hockey, like LaFac, and it was it was amazing.
It was just watching hockey, loving hockey, and just going out and playing, right? We played for like 3-4 hours.
Man, and in the craziest conditions too.
Yeah, like when the snow, I bragged to my wife that I'm not gonna slip on a piece of ice because I'm used to trying to dangle, running full speed on ice, snow in Edmonton while you're trying to body check me and I'm trying to deke out the goalie. So that gave us our hardened, kind of attitude, and I think that's important for everybody.
I want to say this about you. It's really inspiring to see your growth as well. I remember, I don't know when it was, maybe over a decade ago, you told me about this idea, this gap in the market when it comes to pharmacy, and you took a chance, you did something that was innovative that no one else was doing in your particular region in Vancouver, and you've been incredibly successful in an industry that is incredibly tough, and it's cool to just see you win.
Thank you, buddy.
When all the odds were against you.
Thank you, brother.
So listen, where can people get more of your? I know we didn't get to the NFT chat, but where can people learn more about you and what you're doing?
So I guess my business is Community Apothecary, and my Twitter is PharmAziz. I talk about random stuff on there. But I'd say PharmAziz on Twitter, and then my pharmacy business is Community Apothecary, and we have a website, and so thanks for having me on this amazing pod, buddy. You're the man.
Buddy. I really appreciate it. Ahmad Gahari, one of the best in the world, one of the best to do it. So thank you, man.